Right. So what are the remaining topics in core Java? Right. So after completing the multi-threading, so what are the next topics? Right. So in multi-threading, we need to cover this part. So thread priority, I didn't cover it. Then, so that a sleep method, yield method, join method, I will cover as part of this. So methods to prevent. What are the methods to prevent a thread execution? Right. Sleep method, join method, and yield method. Right. So next, so there is a method, interrupt method is there. Suppose a thread is in waiting state. Suppose that the thread is in waiting state for half an hour. So if you want to interrupt it, so if you want to interrupt it, how to interrupt that thread? Suppose it is waiting so much amount of time. So instead of wasting that much time, you are trying to interrupt it. How to interrupt that thread? So there is a method, interrupt method. We'll discuss that. The synchronization topic is there. This is very important. So here you will get a two things: synchronization at a class level and synchronization at a object level, right? So class level means that is a static methods. In case of static method, how it will be. So object level means it's a normal method. How it will be. So if a method is there, the method is synchronized method, and non-static. In non-static case, how it will work. In static case, how it will work. That means synchronized instance method, synchronized static method. In those cases, how it will be, right? So then, so synchronize keyword, then synchronize block, right? So inter-thread communication, how two threads will communicate with each other, right? So deadlock situation. So if two threads are waiting for each other, then that situation is called two or more threads are waiting for each other. Then that situation is called deadlock, right? Then daemon thread concept. So this will covers almost a multi-threading concept. So then, so I already covered these points, but still, so I didn't keep the heading hoops concepts. Hoops concepts like data heading, abstraction, encapsulation, right? So I did cover these words: inheritancy, right? Inheritancy means is a relation, as a relationship. You will get it, right? So if you are creating an object, then what it is called. If you are inheriting it, then what it is called. So actually is a relation, as a relation is there. Then tightly, what is meaning of tightly encapsulated class? So what is the meaning of encapsulation? So how to encapsulate it? What is the meaning of tightly encapsulated classes, right? Then what is coupling? What is cohesion, right? So typecasting, I covered it, but I didn't cover in which case you will get the compile time and which case you will get the runtime errors. I didn't cover it. I just covered how to typecast, that's it. So I didn't took the concept like a typecasting. So whenever you are typecasting, so at compilation time what kind of errors you will get, at runtime what kind of errors you will get, I didn't covered it, right? So I will took that as an example. And serialization also, maybe if I return somewhere, no problem. Serialization also, so I just explained. So for the transient keyword purpose only, I explained the serialization concept. So in that also, serialization. So I told you, right, if you are using the serialization, if you are applying a transient variable, so you don't get the values, you will get the default values. If you want to get the values, then how you will get it, right? So that is a programmer defined serialization. We will discuss that, right? So static keyword, as part of the static keyword, I discussed only static method, static variables, and static blocks, but I didn't cover static import. Static import is there, static inner classes are there, right? So inner classes concept also I didn't cover. So static inner classes also I will cover there, right? Then wrapper classes. So like for every primitive data type there is a backend, there is a class will be there. So those are called wrapper classes. So in the wrapper classes, what are the methods are there, how to use it, we'll discuss that. Then auto boxing and auto unboxing. So suppose the integer for it, yeah, can you please meet, right? uh, I'm trying to mute, right? So auto boxing and auto unboxing concept. So if you are passing a primitive value, how it will be converted into wrapper type. If you are passing a wrapper value, how it will be converted into integer type, class type. So that is box auto boxing and auto unboxing, right? So then enum, group of constant, to represent a group of constant we will use enum keyword, right? So that one also. Then annotations concept is there. So annotations, at the red symbol you will use the at the red symbol, and you will give annotation. So in that case, okay, by seeing the examples you will understand what is this annotation, right? So generics, then cues concept. So generics means like templates. In C++ you have template data type, right? So like that, here you will use generics. Then cues concept. So these are for reading and writing the data. So maybe I written readers, writers. So internally there are concepts like input buffer stream, so buffered stream reader, like this different classes are there. We will discuss all the classes. So how to read the data from a file, or how to write the data into a file, or how to read the data from a keyboard. So like this, we will use a streams concept in java.io package. Streams concept is there. In that streams concept we will cover all these things, right? So serialization concept I written, right? Whatever I didn't covered I will cover here. So this is a very very important one, collections package. So here you will we will understand what is a list, what is a map, what is a right set. So all these things, queues also. So in every interface there is a subclasses, array list, linked list, vector, stack, all these things, right? So all these things we will cover here. So many classes are there. I think it only will take around 15 classes, 10 to minimum 15 classes it will require here, collections, to complete the collections stuff, right? So then regular expressions, I think it is also take around 4 classes. So java 1.8 features. So now after completion of btech, if you are keeping your resume with a java project, definitely they will ask, so what are the 1.8 features, what are the features, like interface methods, default methods, static methods, right? So and lambda expressions. So stream API is very important. So these are function method references, and functional interfaces are as part of the interface methods. So stream API, default methods. So we'll cover all these things. Maybe at this moment you may not understand what are all these things. Then what we will try to cover 1.9 features also, right? What is a modular programming? All those concepts will come here. Then once we completed this core Java concept, then we will try to go ahead with the JDBC concept. So JDBC Hibernate we will try to cover in morning session. In evening session we will try to cover SQL. So actually JDBC Hibernate both are interacting with the database. So why we are using these programming concepts, Hibernate or JDBC? So actually JDBC is a Java related one. Hibernate is a third party tool. Using this third party tool, this is a ORM tool, object relational mapping tool. Using this one you can interact with the databases. So for interacting with the database, power loss. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, are you able to hear me? Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Right. So these JDBC and Hibernate is used to interact with the database. So for that, first we need to learn the database concepts. So what we will do? So actually Hibernate and JDBC maybe will take around 20 classes. Not that will be depends on. So if you are able to capture, then we will go ahead faster. So if you are little bit slower, then it will take some time. So I planned to cover JDBC and Hibernate in morning session. So afternoon evening session SQL. So SQL also it will take around 60 days, 60 hours. 60 hours means generally they will plan 60 hours. So based on that, if you are learning PL by SQL programming language, so how it will be based on that. So after that, once we completed this, then we will try to understand HTML and JavaScript, right? So why? Because so HTML and JavaScript is here we required it. So after that we will learn so servlets and JSPs, right? So once you learn the servlets and JSPs, then you are in a position to implement web applications, right? So here we will use the Tomcat server or JBoss server or some other WebLogic servers, right? Using the servers you can implement the web applications. While implementing the web applications, it required minimum. It will follow the MVC architecture, like a model view controller architecture. So that means we will split. So what is the view layer? What is the model layer? What is the controller layer? So in that case, so view part will be covered with a HTML and JavaScript. So to implement servlets and JSP's applications, so we need to know HTML and JavaScript little bit at least. So how to create a text box, text area, submit button. So how to work that functionality, all these things are required. So we'll cover those, then we will try to cover this. So if you are willing to continue, then only, otherwise no problem. So after that, so once you learn the servlets and JSPs, so actually nowadays no one is using the struts components, struts applications. So struts 1.2. So what we will do, we will try to cover at least 3 to 4 applications, how they will implement the applications using the struts. I am not going to cover all the entire struts. So we'll try to see how to implement the web applications using the struts. Struts is a framework. By using this framework, you can implement web applications, big applications. So we will try to cover at least 4 applications with a different scenarios. Then we will cover Spring API, Spring programming, right? So in that way, we will go ahead. Okay, this is the plan. Actually, this is the plan. So that is up to you whether you are able to continue or not able to continue. That is up to you. So if you are getting the knowledge, if you are spending the time at least 1 hour 2 hour to learn something, then that is okay. If you are not getting the knowledge, if you are wasting the time, then don't waste time here by attending the classes. If you feel you are getting the knowledge, you are utilizing the time, then you can attend. Otherwise, if you are not getting the knowledge, you are wasting the time, so in that case don't attend. Okay, that is also waste of time. Right. So and suppose if you are attending all these things, so either it will be useful for your Java classes or not. So subject wise, suppose in second year second semester, suppose maybe someone might be having backlog or something. Suppose second year people also there, so they are going to write the exam. In that case, how these classes will be useful, right? So actually, whenever you are writing the exam, so in that exam you will write like a story. But while you are writing the programming subject, you must go through the syntaxes. If you are practicing these sessions, those sessions definitely useful for you. So if you know how to write a simple program based on the question, then you can write the story. You can explain the program by writing 10 lines of without using the code. You can expand it, explain the program. So that is enough, right? So I am 100% believe that. So if you learn the programming, you can write the exam very easily. So if you know the programming, you can write the exam very easily. But you need at least minimum preparation. So what kind of questions they will ask in the examination, so how to answer. So you need to prepare in that way. So this will help you how to write the coding, so where you will get the errors, all these things. But so that way exam preparation is, you need to go through the questions, what kind of questions they will ask. Based on that, you need to prepare. This one definitely will help you. But this is not like exactly what question, what answer I need to write. Okay, this will cover everything, but you need to pick which part you need to pick. That is based on the question, right? So if anything is required, then we will discuss over the call, right? Right. So today class we will try to understand in morning session. Right. Right. No. These are questions. Yeah. So thread priority, right? So thread priority, I will explain today's class, and methods to prevent thread execution. Right. We will try to discuss this one. So after this, I will cover thread priority. Right. So what are the methods to prevent the thread execution? So preventing means stopping, right? Right. So how to stop a executing thread, right? So we have 3 methods to stop the execution of a thread. So one is sleep method. Okay, one is sleep method. So sleep method is a overloaded method. You don't have only single method. So see, this method prototype is, so maybe public final method, maybe final method. I don't think so. Okay, public void, then sleep method with a parameter, long type parameter, right? So long type parameter is milliseconds. So this is one method, and you have one more method that is milliseconds and nanoseconds also. Nanoseconds, right? So how many sleep methods we have? You have two sleep methods. One is with long type parameter, one is with long type and integer type parameter. So one method is having single parameter, second method is having two parameters, right? So this is one method. Second method is join method, join. Method name is join, right? So join method also overloaded method. Join method is overloaded with three methods, not two methods, three methods. First one join method without having any parameter. Second one join method with a long parameter, milliseconds. So third type is join with a long, milliseconds and integer, nanoseconds. We will try to, and third method is yield method, right? So it is only one method. You don't have other methods, right? This is the only one method. You don't have other methods. By using these three methods, these three means these two plus these three, 5 plus 1, 6. Using these 6 methods, using this 6 method, you can prevent the thread execution, right? So we will try to understand one by one. Right. I'm commenting this code. Okay, if there is any mistakes in this, we will once again we will clarify it. So open the API documentation. So go to that thread class method, java.lang package. Go to thread class, right? See here method summary, sleep method, sleep. See how many methods are there? Sleep method with a long type parameter, right? So sleep method with long type parameter, sleep method with long type parameter and integer type parameter. Here you have single parameter, here you have two parameters, long type and integer type. So one is in milliseconds, one is in milliseconds and nanoseconds, right? So what the method will do? So this is a static method, not final method. This is a static method. Static method, I written wrongly here. Static method, this one also, right? So static method. So if you try to read, causes the currently executing thread to sleep temporarily, causes execution for the specified number of milliseconds. So by reading this line, you will understand. So what this method will do? So it will try to stop the thread execution for these many number of milliseconds. System time is merchant schedules. Right. Okay. So we'll try to execute. We'll try to use this method in our program. So simple. If you want to use that method, you must be having some thread. Right. So I am writing a class uh, thread 1 T1 expands thread class, right? So in this class, so I must write a method. The method name is public void run method, right? So public void run method. So inside this method, so as usual, so I will use the for loop. I will try to print 10 lines. Why every time 10 lines only? Why I am using every time for loop? So because of multiple threads are executing, so multiple threads are executing that time, so I will get the either two threads are executing simultaneously or not. If multiple print statements are there, then only I will observe. Otherwise, if only one statement is there, how I will observe it? It's not possible. That's why I less than 10, I plus plus. Right. Here, before that we have okay, no problem. I will cover that doubt here. Right, system dot out dot println. You can say what which thread is running. That is up to you. So no need to write every time this one. So that is up to you. So you will write, you don't write, that is up to you. So here I am printing I value. So which thread is executing? I am printing that I value. So here I created just one thread. So on top of thread, so I make this as a thread class. So I return public void run method. Inside this run method, I am using the for loop. Right. So now I will use the main method. So main class, my class name is my thread. So if you are unable to understand, please ask me. String arguments. So here I will create object to my class, that is T1. Here, if you don't create object to T1 class, and if you are trying to create object for thread class, so by giving some name, right? If you are trying to start the thread, so in this case, what will happen? So you are creating object to which class? Thread class. So thread class means is that your own class? Your own class name is T1. But whose class is this? That is java.lang package class. You are creating object to java.lang package class. You are calling the start method. So in this case, what will happen? So there is no relation between this thread class and your T1 class. You are not at all passing, you are not at all creating object to your T1 class, and you are not passing here. So that means there is no relation. You are not asking a thread to create a allocate the time for your thread. You are not registering your thread, you are not allocating the time. So if you create directly thread object, so your thread will not be created. Your thread will not be created. So what you have to do while creating the thread, you create your own class object and you can pass here. That is valid. So if you create the thread like this, so it will create a thread object and it will start the thread class start method, and it will execute thread class run method only. It won't execute your class run method. So try to observe, right? Understand here, you created object for which class? Thread class. And you are giving a thread name as a thread, my thread. And you are starting the thread. That means thread class start method will be executed. Thread class start method register the thread. That is T1 will be registered with the thread scheduler, and it will try to execute the run method of thread class, not T1 class run method. Right. So now try to execute the program. You don't get any output. Java C, my thread for Java. Try to execute it, my thread. You are not getting any output. Program is executed successfully. Yes, this is the case of this one. Whole battery is low. This is the case of this one. This is so yeah. Right. So this case. See here. So the class name is WED, right? But here we created object for thread class. Okay, we created object for thread class. Actually, you need to create object for WED class. Then you can start the method. Or you can create object for WED and you can forward that reference to thread class. That is also valid. Right. Right. So now what I will do, I will create object for T1. So what is my class name? T capital 1, capital O, T capital O. So in this case, if I change the just class name, in this case observe. So if we compile and execute, you will get the output. Sorry, what happened? Right, you don't have a constructor in your class, so you are not supposed to give the name directly here. So if you want, you can use a set name method, my thread. Right. So compile the code, execute the code. So you are getting the output. My thread is executing 10 times. Right. So now we are discussing how to prevent a thread execution. Right. So in this case, the thread is executed 10 times. Right. So whenever it is executing it 10 times, it is keep on directly it was printed. It won't waited. Just printed. See? Printed. Printed. So what I am trying to do, so first one line is printed. After that, I want to make the thread to wait. Okay, preventing means stopping the execution of a thread. So in this case, what is happening? The thread is keep on executing until the run method is completed. The thread is keep on executing. So now I want to stop the execution of a thread. Right. So for that purpose, I will use either join method, sleep method, or yield method, any of these methods. So now I am trying to use the sleep method. So if I want to use the sleep method, I have two sleep methods. One is with a long type parameter, one is with a long and integer type parameter. I can use any of these two. Right. So but the sleep method is a static method and that is available in thread class. So I can use it directly by using class name thread.sleep. Right. So where I will use here. So inside this for loop or outside the for loop also no problem. Right. So, okay, inside the for loop I will write why because after printing this line, so I am trying to use sleep method, SLEEP sleep method by passing some parameter. So milliseconds I need to pass. So 1000 milliseconds means 1 second. Right. So I cannot call the directly like this. Why? Because the sleep method is not available in T1 class. So the sleep method is available in thread class. Either I can create a thread class object, I can call it. Or sleep method is a static method. Directly I can use the class name thread sleep method. Right. Now go and observe the sleep method prototype. Sleep method. Open the sleep method. See observe here. After the sleep method, throws interrupted exception is there. That means it is throwing checked exception. It is throwing checked exception. So if it is throwing checked exception, so either you can handle it by using try catch blocks or you can throw it. Right. So we'll try to understand what is the meaning. Right. So if you compile this program, you will get compile time error. Compile the code. Right. You are getting the error that is a checked exception error, interrupted exception. So you must handle it by using try catch blocks. Right. So this line I will surround with the try catch blocks. Try, end of the try catch. Here you can write interrupted exception or you can write exception directly. If you want, you can write interrupted exception. Interrupted exception IE. IE means the first character and second character of class name. So if you compile this program, so this line is surrounded with try catch blocks. That means you are handling the exception. You don't get any compile time error. So compile the code. The meaning cannot find the symbol interrupted exception. Huh? Is there any spelling mistake? INTERRUPTED interrupted by exception. Interrupted exception. What is this? Timeout exception. That is interrupted exception only. Compile. Right, you are not getting any error. If you execute it, you will get the output. Java my thread. So in this case, observe the output THREAD. So in this case, observe the output. So first this for loop will be executed. First time this line will be printed. So the thread name and 0 will be printed. What is the thread name? My thread. My thread 0 will be printed. After that, it is going to try block. This will try to execute this one. So what this will do? So thread class sleep method will be called. So what the thread class sleep method will do? It will fetch the which thread is executing, and it will apply sleep method on top of that thread, and the thread will be entered into waiting state until the 1 second. Right. After 1 second, from waiting state to it will go to ready or runnable state. then it will get the time, then it will again execute the run method. So that means 1 second it will wait here. So in this 1 second, so it will go to waiting state. Then once the 1 second is completed, 1 second is completed, then it will go to ready or runnable state. So ready or runnable state, then it will goes to run method, running state. So this is happening in within this 1 second of time.
Sir,
Yes,
interrupted exception, checked exception, sir.
సో ఇంటరప్టెడ్ ఎక్సెప్షన్, చెక్డ్ ఎక్సెప్షన్. అవును, అందుకనే మనకు కంపైల్ టైం ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది కదా.
Okay, sir.
Right. So here, so whenever you are asking the thread to wait for 1 second, so it will stop the thread. So it will enter into waiting state to ready or runnable state to running state. Right. So again for loop will be executed next time. It will print at the next line and it will wait for 1 second. Then again it will print like this. It will print 10 times. But every printing, after the printing the line, it will wait 1 second. So in this case, what we are doing, we are trying to stop the execution of a thread for 1 second. Right. So try to observe the output. So it is printing first line, second line. After that, it is waiting 1 second. Right. So this is okay. Right. So here you are not supposed, you can use try catch blocks, that is okay. Here you can use try catch blocks to handle this checked exception. So actually this method is throwing checked exception. You are using the throws keyword. This is throwing checked exception. Checked exceptions you can handle in two ways, either by using try catch blocks or by using throws keyword. But in this case you are not supposed to use the throws keyword. So in this case you are not supposed to use the throws keyword. Why? Because 1 second. Yeah. So if you want to use the throws keyword here, so where you will use it? If you want to use the throws keyword here, so where you will use it? You need to use inside this method. So after the method, you need to write here. So after the method, you need to write here. If you write here, what will happen?
Exception also. Wrong implementation.
So if you write here, then what is the meaning? So actually you are overriding this run method. Right. So you are overriding the run method of thread class. While overriding, you need to follow the rules. While overriding, you need to follow the rules. So what are the overriding rules? If thread class run method is throwing any checked exception, you can throw the same checked exception. If the thread class run method is not throwing any checked exception, you are not supposed to throw it. So that is the rule we discussed at the time of overriding concept. Right. So if superclass method is throwing any checked exception, you can throw the same exception. If the superclass method is not throwing any checked exception, you are not supposed to throw it. If you are trying to throw it, you will get the error. So compile the code. Right. So here you are getting the error. The run method is not overridden properly. Right. So overridden method does not throws interrupted exception. So this is not applicable here. So if you want to write the code, you can call a method. From that method, you can throw it. Right. So here you must surround with the try catch blocks only. Try block. Right. So overriding rules అమ్మా. సో ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు మనం డిస్కస్ చేసాము. సో ఓవర్ రైడింగ్ అంటే మీకు గుర్తుంటే రైట్ కదా ఉందా? ఓకే, నో ప్రాబ్లం. సపోజ్ ఈ క్లాస్లో ఒక మెథడ్ ఉంది, పబ్లిక్ మెథడ్. సపోజ్ this is the parent class for PQR class. So PQR class contains one method, M1 method. Suppose the child don't like this method implementation, then what he can do? He can override that method. While overriding, he must follow the method name and parameter as it is. M1 method and parameters as it is. So return type also, if it is a covariant types, you can change it. If it is not a covariant type, you must maintain the same. And access specifier level, you are not supposed to decrease the access specifier level, you can increase it, but you are not supposed to decrease it. So public access specifier is the highest level. After that, you don't have any other levels. So if public is there, you need to maintain public, right? So now, this is overriding, exactly overriding. Suppose in super class, if a method is throwing any checked exception, interrupted exception, so in that case, while overriding, you must throw that checked exception, right? Suppose if it is not throwing any checked exception, while overriding, you are not supposed to throw any exception, right? If the superclass method is not throwing any exception, it is not throwing an exception, while overriding, you are also not supposed to throw, you are not supposed to throw that exception, right? If it is not throwing any exception, you are not supposed to throw it. If it is throwing any exception, you can throw, you cannot throw, that is up to you, right? We discussed this as part of overriding concept. In the same way, now consider this is the thread class. So thread class run method is there. So run method is not throwing any exception. So this is your class, consider this is your class, PHREAD. So PQR class is your class, you are extending thread class, you are trying to override this method. While overriding, you are not supposed to throw this one. Why? Because superclass is not throwing, superclass method is not throwing any checked exception in that case. So overriding method also should not throw any checked exception. That is the rule, right? If you are throwing it, then you will get compile time error, that is not properly overridden. So that is the same scenario in thread class. Run method is there, run method is not throwing any checked exception. While overriding, you are also not supposed to throw any checked exception. This is invalid, right? So you just surround with the try catch blocks. So this is valid, right? Now you can pass here integer number also, integer range, up to integer range only, not long range. You can pass some integer range. So these are nanoseconds, right? So these many number of milliseconds and these many number of nanoseconds. So compile it and run it. Compile the code, execute the code. Yeah. So those many number of nanoseconds, milliseconds plus nanoseconds, right? So this is about a sleep method, right? So next one, చెప్పమ్మా.
ఇప్పుడు మనము T1 తీసుకున్నాం కదా సార్, అట్లనే అక్కడ ఎక్స్టెన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ PQR అని తీసుకొని PQR లో రన్ మెథడ్ ని ఓవర్ రైట్ చేసి ఇక్కడ త్రోస్ అని రాస్తే వస్తుందా సార్? అప్పుడు త్రోస్ తో
మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చెప్పమ్మా. PQR అనే క్లాస్ తెచ్చుకొని
ఇప్పుడు థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్ నుంచి మనం రన్ మెథడ్ తీసుకున్నప్పుడు అది బై డిఫాల్ట్ గా త్రో చేయదు కదా సార్?
అవును.
సెక్షన్ అదే మనం ఏదైనా మన ఓన్ క్లాస్ తీసుకొని యూజర్ డిఫైన్ ది అప్పుడు అందులో ఓవర్ రైట్ చేసి రన్ మెథడ్ ని అట్లా త్రోస్ యూజ్ చేస్తే వస్తుందా?
రన్ మెథడ్ పక్కన అలా రాయడానికి అసలు ఛాన్స్ లేదు. సో మీరు ఏమంటున్నారంటే ఒక 20 ఇక్కడ వేరే ఒక క్లాస్ రాసి సమ్ఏబిసి అనే క్లాస్ రాసి, సో దీంట్లో ఒక మెథడ్ రాయమంటున్నారా?
సార్ థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్ అంటే రీసెంట్ సార్, వేరే క్లాస్ రాయమంటుంది.
అదే ఎందుకన్నమ్మా వేరే క్లాస్ రాశాను ఇక్కడ, అలా కాదా?
T1 అనేది ఎక్స్టెండ్ సమ్ ఎక్స్ క్లాస్ నుంచి అయింది అనుకోండి.
ఓకే, ఏబిసి క్లాస్ నుంచి అయింది అనుకున్నాం. ఇక్కడ ఏబిసి క్లాస్ ఉంది ఆల్రెడీ, ఏబిసి క్లాస్ నుంచి ఎక్స్టెండ్ అయింది, రైట్.
ఏబిసి క్లాస్లో ఇప్పుడు రన్ మీటర్ని మనం ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసినాం అనుకోండి సార్, అప్పుడు త్రోస్ అనే కీవర్డ్ రాయొచ్చా అంటున్నా సార్, ట్రై క్యాచ్ కాకుండా.
పబ్లిక్ వాయిడ్ రన్ అనే మెథడ్ ఇక్కడ ఉండుంటే, సో ఏబిసి క్లాస్లో ఈ రన్ అనే మెథడ్ ఉండుంటే ఈ రన్ మెథడ్ పక్కన త్రోస్ అవును ఐఓ ఎక్సెప్షన్ ఉంది అనుకుందాం. సో ఐఓ ఎక్సెప్షన్ కూడా చెక్డ్ ఎక్సెప్షనే, రైట్. సో ఇలా ఉంటే సో ఏబిసి క్లాస్కి T1 క్లాసు సబ్ క్లాస్ అయింది. సో సబ్ క్లాస్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు ఈ రన్ మెథడ్ ఇక్కడ ఉంది అంటే నమ్మ డౌట్ ఇది కరెక్ట్ అంటే మీ డౌట్ ప్రకారమే కోడ్ ఉందా లేదా అని ఫస్ట్.
సార్ ఇక్కడ కూడా ఇప్పుడు T1 లో కూడా త్రోస్ ఐఓ ఎక్సెప్షన్
రైట్. సో ఇప్పుడు సో త్రోస్ ఐఓ ఎక్సెప్షన్ రాయాలా రాయకూడదా ఫస్ట్ రాయొచ్చా రాయకూడదా అంత దూరం వద్దు, ఫస్ట్ రాయొచ్చా రాయకూడదా చెక్ చేయండి. సో కంపైల్ ద కోడ్, రైట్. సో ఐఓ ఎక్సెప్షన్ ఈజ్ అవైలబుల్ ఇన్ java.io package. So compile the code, right. So here in super class if you are throwing it, in subclass you can throw, you don't throw, that is up to you. But in super class if it is not throwing anything, in subclass if you are trying to throw it, then that is the scenario, right. In super class method if it is throwing checked exception, then while writing the subclass overriding the method, you throw, you don't throw, that is not a problem. But if it is not throwing in super class, if it is not throwing, in while overriding if you are trying to throw it, what will happen? So that is the scenario, right. You are getting the error, same error, right. ఓకే. పాయింట్ ఓకేనా? ఇది క్వశ్చన్కి ఆన్సర్ కాదా?
ఓకే సార్, అర్థమైంది,
రైట్. సో ఇది ఓవర్ రైడింగ్ చేసేటప్పుడు సూపర్ క్లాస్లో ఒక మెథడ్ ఉంది. ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు సేమ్ మెథడ్ని మెయింటైన్ చేస్తాం, ఓకే. ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇక్కడ కనుక చెక్డ్ ఎక్సెప్షన్ ఏదైనా త్రో చేస్తుంటే అదే ఎక్సెప్షన్ ఇక్కడ రాయకపో నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఇక్కడ కనుక చెక్డ్ ఎక్సెప్షన్ త్రో చేయనప్పుడు ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు త్రో చేద్దామని చూడకూడదు, ఓకేనా, రైట్. ఓవర్ రైడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు త్రో చేయకూడదు, రైట్. అదే కాన్సెప్ట్ సేమ్ ఇందాక సినారియో. సో ఆ థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్ ఉంటే ఇదే కనుక థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్ అయితే రన్ మెథడ్ అయింది, ఇదే కనుక థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్ అయితే. సో ఇది యువర్ క్లాస్ థ్రెడ్ క్లాస్, right. So thread class method is not throwing any error, any exception, then how, while overriding, how you will throw it? That is invalid, right. That's why while using the sleep method you are not supposed to throw keyword as part of the run method. You can handle it by using try catch blocks, right. So next method we will try to understand join method, right. I hope here only, right. This is not required, ABC class, huh? Okay. Right. So T1 class thread method. So now we are trying to understand, so what is a join method? So sleep method with the two methods is over. So join method, we are trying to apply join method. What is the purpose of join method? Suppose three threads are there, T1, T2 and T3, or you can take two is enough, right. So two threads are there. So on top of one thread if you apply join method, so what will happen? So consider these two threads are having same priority. Suppose while creating the threads you didn't set the priority, so by default this one will be created with 5 priority, this one also will be created with 5 priority. T1 and T2 both are having same priority. So if you apply join method on T1, what will happen? So whatever the remaining threads are there, remaining threads means in this case T2 thread. So T2 thread will be pushed into waiting state. So until T1 is completing, See, try to understand. So you have two threads. So both threads are same priority or more priority also, no problem. Don't consider the priority also. Priority also will not come into the picture. So two threads are there. So on top of one thread, if you are applying join method, what will happen? So in this case, so remaining threads, not only T2 thread, if other threads are also there, so other threads also will pushed into the waiting state. So how much time those remaining threads will be in waiting state? So until the three thread T1 thread will complete the task. So once the T1 thread completes the run method, then the thread scheduler will give the time to remaining threads which are there in a waiting state. Right. So here you have join method in three types. So what is the difference between these three? So I hope you know what is the difference between these two. So long milliseconds and long and nanoseconds. Milliseconds and nanoseconds, just now we covered it. Now what is the difference between first one and second one? Right. So first one, you are not passing any parameters. That means the remaining threads will wait until the first thread is completed. So second join method. So second join method, if you are passing milliseconds here, so those many number of milliseconds only the remaining threads will be in waiting state. Once the time is completed, the remaining threads will be wake up. So that means it will give the time to execute. So again, so if you are using the second join method, so what will happen? The remaining threads will be entered into waiting state, but it will not wait until the first thread will complete. It will wait only these many number of milliseconds only in the waiting state. So once this time is completed, so it will get the chance to execute. So in the same way, third method, join method with long milliseconds and integer nanoseconds. In this case, what will happen? So remaining threads will be entered into waiting state. So until this time is completed. So once this time is completed, so remaining threads will be activated. So these will execute their own task. So in first case, so remaining threads will be in waiting state only until the first thread is completing the task. Right. So we'll try to understand this. So before that, so we'll check whether the join method will throw interrupted exception or not. So what is the join method prototype also? Right. So we'll go to that section and we'll try to see what is the join method prototype. So join methods here, join method without parameter, join method with a long milliseconds, join method with a long milliseconds and nanoseconds. So first one, wait for the thread to die. That means first on which thread you are applying the join method, that thread has to complete the task and it has to dead. So after that, remaining thread will get the chance. So first one. So I am trying to open this one to see the prototype. So prototype here the method is final method. It's not a static method. This method is not a static method. You are not supposed to call thread.join. In earlier case, sleep method is a static method. You can call thread.sleep method. But in this case, it's not possible. Right. And again, it is throwing interrupted exception. That means you need to surround with try catch blocks or you can use throws keyword. So we will try this one. Right. So what I will do, so I have one class, thread class. In this class, I have method. So to print 10 times. So to print a statement, what is the thread name with a number. So how many times it is executing? So I have a code. So after that, in the main method, so main class, main method. So what I will do, I will create two threads. I don't start it now. So I will create two threads. So one is with a T1 name, second one is with a T2 name. T1 name and T2 name. The reference names also T2, T2. See, observe here how many threads I created. So T1 thread and T2 thread. So I need to start these threads. So T1 dot start, T2 dot start. So what is my intention? I want to apply join method. So before applying the join method, observe the output. Before applying the join method, observe the output. So both threads will be executed simultaneously. You will get the result simultaneously. That means both threads will be executed parallelly. Right. So compile the code, clear the screen, compile the code, try to execute it. See here, T1 thread is executed 2 times, T2 thread executed 2 times, then T1 thread executed 1 time, T2 thread executed 1 time. So like this, based on the timing, it is executing parallelly. Both threads are executing parallelly. But I don't want this situation now. I want first thread has to complete all the tasks. Until that, remaining thread has to be in waiting state. Remaining thread means in this case T2 thread must be in waiting state until the first thread will complete the task. So in this case I need to apply join method on top of T1 thread. So after starting the thread I will apply T1 dot join method. So if I apply join method will throws interrupted exception. So I can handle it by using try catch blocks, or I can use throws keyword here. So I'm using try catch blocks, try block. So if you don't have try block, if you compile it, you will get the compile time error saying that interrupted exception. Interrupted exception. So you can handle it by using try catch blocks. I am surrounding with try block. Try block is closed. Catch block, exception E. Right. So now you don't get any error. So if you execute it, so what it will do? First, it will take the T1 thread, and until the T1 thread dies, that means once the complete the run method, then only it will die. So once it is completed the task, so the second thread will be in waiting state only. Right. So now try to observe the output. So clear the screen, compile the code, try to execute the program. So see, first thread is executed completely. Then second thread get the chance. Right. So then what is the purpose of second methods? Join method with milliseconds. So you can apply join method with milliseconds also here. Suppose if I am applying 10 milliseconds, what will happen? Suppose if I am applying 1000 milliseconds, that means 1 second. Within that 1 second, maybe that executing the 10 lines is not, it's not required that much time. So if you are applying join method on T1 thread, so T1 thread will, sorry, T2 thread will wait up to 1 second only. Okay, up to 1 second. Within this 1 second, if T1 thread is able to complete the task, you will get the output first T1, then followed by T2. Within this 1 millisecond, if the first thread is unable to print the first 10 lines, then you will get the combination output. So compile the code, clear the screen, compile the code, execute the code. So within first 1 milliseconds, you are able to print all these statements. That's why you are getting this result. Suppose I am trying to decrease the level, so 100 milliseconds. So compile it. So clear the screen, compile the code, try to execute it. So in this case also T1 is able to complete within 100 milliseconds. I am trying to decrease the time. So 10 milliseconds. So within this 10 milliseconds, if it is able to print the 10 lines, so you will get the same output. See. So within the 10 milliseconds, it is unable to print. It is unable to print the first thread, right? That's why you are getting irregular output. So this is join method with parameters. So if you apply join method with parameters, the second thread will wait only these many number of milliseconds only. Once within this milliseconds of time, if T1 thread is unable to complete the task, then both you will get the irregular output. That means combination of outputs. Right. If you are not passing any parameter, in this case, until the T1 thread is completed, remaining thread has to wait. Right. I hope you are getting the point. So I remove that time. I am not passing any parameter. Here in this case, first T1 thread will be completed, then T2 thread. So next one more method is there, that is the yield method, yield. Right. So what is the purpose of next method? Any doubts in this, in these two? Sleep method or join method? Yes. So these three methods are used to prevent the thread execution. That means stop the thread execution for some time. So next one is yield method. So yield method. So in which case it will be useful. Suppose you have three threads T1, T2, and T3. All the threads are having same priority. Suppose 5 priority. So in this case, if you apply yield method on one thread, suppose on top of T1 thread, if you apply yield method, so what will happen? So what the yield method will do, it will pick the remaining threads which are having 5 priority. Suppose some other threads also there, suppose T4 thread, T4 thread is having priority 6, or T5 thread is there, T5 thread is having priority of 7, like this. So T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. You have 5 threads. In those 5 threads, 3 threads are having 5 priority, 2 threads are having different priority. So if you are applying yield method on T1 thread, first it will pick what is the priority of T1 thread. So T1 thread priority is 5. So what it will do? It will pick the remaining threads which is having same priority. So that means it will pick here. So T2 thread and a T3 thread. It will pick these two threads. Then, so instead of giving the chance to T1 thread, so it will give the chance to the thread scheduler will give the chance to either T2 or T3. So for which one it will give, that is based on the thread scheduler, right? So here, what is the purpose of yield method? Yield method means if you apply the yield method on top of one thread, so it will pick the remaining threads which is having same priority of the thread. So which is having same priority of that thread. So it will stop the execution of the current thread and it will give the chance to remaining threads which is having same priority. If it is having more than one thread, so for which one it will give the chance, that will be based on the thread scheduler. Right. Suppose if other threads are not having the same priority, in that case, so the same thread will get the chance to execute. Right. So again, once again, so what is the purpose of yield method? So yield method is used to prevent the thread execution, but it will prevent on which threads? First it will verify. So on top of which thread you are applying the yield method. So if you are applying on top of T1 method, T1 thread, so what is the T1 thread priority? 5. So what it will do? It will pick the threads which are having 5 priority. So in this case, T2 and T3 both are having 5 priority. So it will pick these two threads and it will try to give the chance to these two threads. So which will get the chance first? That will be based on the thread scheduler. But in this case, it is stopping the T1 thread execution. It is giving the chance to other threads. Right. In that case, you will apply yield method. Suppose T2 and T3 both are not having same priority. Suppose T1 is having only 5 priority. So T2 and T3 are having 4 priority. 4 priority. So no other threads are there with the same priority. In this case, what will happen? Again, the T1 thread will get the chance to execute it. So this is the case. But yield method will work based on the platform. Some operating systems may be support, some operating system may not support. Okay. So in this case, you cannot expect the exact output. Suppose you created two threads are having same priority. So if you are applying on one thread yield method, if you are trying to get the output of second thread, so if the operating system is not supporting the yield method, then you don't get it. Right. So this in this case, it is having platform dependence. Some operating systems may be support, some may not support. So we'll try to use this method, yield method, right? So actually you need to use this yield method as what when it is executed. I am removing this line of code. So here,
Sir,
Chapama.
sir, త్రీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ కి సేమ్ చేయాలని మనకి తెలుసు
అదే చెప్పబోతున్నాను, అదే చెప్పడానికి ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను, రైట్? సో T1 thread, T2 thread, so I am creating one more thread, T3. యాక్చువల్గా ప్రియారిటీ చెప్పి చెప్పాల్సింది, రైట్, నో ప్రాబ్లం. రైట్. సో who will call the main method? Main thread. So what is the main thread priority? 5. I hope you know. So one day I try to print the reference. I return the code like this: system dot out dot println. So thrad thread dot current thread dot I just only printed this line, right? So you comment this one. So try to observe. So T1, T2, T3. You can start T3 also, no problem. This is not part of this. I'm just simply writing this one last T3. So concentrate this line number 40. So if I compile and execute it, so first main method will be called by the main thread, right? So for that main thread, it is having some priority. That is the default priority. That is called normal priority. Normal priority is 5. So I'm trying to execute it. So compile the code, clear the screen, try to execute it. So you are getting this line of code, line of output. So in this, first one is thread name, second one is thread priority, third one is thread group. So main thread is created the priority 5 thread, 5 priority. Main thread priority is 5. So actually priority range is 1 to 10 only. Priority range 1 to 10 only, right? So here the priority will be in 3 types. So normal priority, minimum priority, maximum priority. Minimum, normal, and maximum priority. We will discuss once this is complete. Right, no problem. Right. So here once the main thread is created, so main thread is having 5 priority. So whenever you are trying to create other threads, in this case you are trying to create T1, T2, T3, these 3 threads. So JVM will create these 3 threads with the same priority which is having the main thread. So main thread priority is 5, that will be inherited to T1, T2, T3, all the threads which are having same priority. So if you are having doubt, just print the same line as part of the run method. It's already there, so we'll try to print. So this not required to execute this many number of times, one line is enough. Right. So now observe here. So in this case, you are starting T1, T2, T3. So what the T1, T2, T3 will do? It will go and execute run method. Inside the run method, what is there? It is trying to print which thread is executing. So I am trying to print it. So it will give, I already forwarded the thread names T1, T2, T3. So T1, T2, T3 with priority, it will print the data. Right. So try to compile it. Try to execute it. The first one, main thread. Second one, T1 thread. So T1 thread, T2 thread, T3 thread. All are having 5, 5, 5, 5. Right? If you want to change the priority, you can change the priority. We will discuss that. But whenever you are creating the threads, so it will be created with 5 priority. 5 priority means if main thread priority is 5, it will create with 5 priority. If main thread priority is 10, if main thread priority is 10, it will create with the 10 only. But who are creating main thread? JVM is creating. So JVM is having 5 priority, that's why you are getting 5 priority. If you want, you can change the priority of main thread also. See here, I am changing the main thread priority. So I am setting it to 10 priority. After setting the priority, I am trying to print the priority. Right. No need to print the priority. If I print this one, it will print automatically 10. So now try to compile. I hope you are getting the point. So I am trying to get, so which is the current thread is executing by this line. అర్థం కాలేదమ్మా, మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చెప్పు. స్క్రీన్ రావట్లేదా? Stop sharing. Your network connection is lost. I think mobile data is over. 100% usage is over. Okay, no problem. Right, are you able to see the screen now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So in this class, so what I'm trying to do, so this main thread is created by JVM. By that time it was created with a 5 priority. So what I'm trying to do, I am trying to change the main thread priority by using set priority method. So 5 priority will be updated with the 10 priority. After giving the 10, I am creating T1, T2, T3 threads. So in this case, what is the priority of these 3 threads? So before that, what is the main thread priority? 10 is there. So these will be created with 10 priority. Right. Observe the output. So compile the code, execute the code. See here, first JVM created the main thread. That time 5 priority is there. After that, I updated the code. I updated the priority. Sorry, అర్థం కాలేదమ్మా.
మీ వాయిస్ స్టక్ అవుతుంది సార్.
అవునా? రైట్. సో ఇప్పుడు స్టక్ అవుతుంటే మన మేబీ ఇంటర్నెట్ సరిగా రావట్లేదేమో, నా సైడ్ నుంచే ప్రాబ్లం. రైట్, మళ్ళీ క్లాస్ డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేయాలా? వినిపిస్తుందా ఒకసారి? అదర్వైజ్ విల్ కంటిన్యూ ఇన్ టుమారో మార్నింగ్. So I will try to wind up. So I will let me complete this and then I will wind up. Tomorrow we will discuss. Right. So here the thread priority is 10. So remaining threads will be priority will be set with 10. So remaining threads you are getting 10, 10, 10, 10. Right. So whatever the main thread priority is there, so with that priority remaining threads will be created. So before creating the threads, you need to update. If you want, you need to update the main thread priority. You can update it. Right. So now we are trying to apply yield method. So I am trying to enable this code. Enable this code. So I am trying to print I value. Right. So how many times it is executing? So in this method, in this for loop, I am trying to apply yield method. So yield method is a static method. Yield method is a static method. See, go to that thread class. So go to the yield method yield. Yield, where is that yield? Yeah, last one. So this is a static method and it is not throwing any exceptions. So you can directly use it, thread.yield. So I'm trying to use here yield method. So what is the meaning of yield method? First who is executing? Maybe first T1 may be executing. So when T1 is executing, so T1 priority is 5. So what it will do? So instead of executing the T1 thread, so it will verify is there any other threads with the same priority. So T2 and T3 both are having same priority. Sorry, this is not 5, this is 10. Both are having same priority. So in this case, maybe it will give the chance to T2 or T3. Right. So T2, T3, maybe this either any one of these will be executed. Right. If the operating system is not supporting, then you will get all the threads. Right. So trying to compile it. So clear the screen. Try to execute it. Okay, observe here in starting 10 lines. Okay, I will remove all these statements. I'll use dot get name. So which thread is executing? I want it. So again, once again compile it.
డిఫాల్ట్ గా అన్నిటికీ 5 అని రాస్తుంది.
సో డిఫాల్ట్గా ఫస్ట్ 5 ఉంటుందమ్మా. మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్కి 5 ఉంటుంది. సో ఇక్కడ చూస్తే మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్కి 5 ఉంటుంది. సో 5 నేనేం చేశాను, 10కి అప్డేట్ చేశాను, అందుకని 10 ఉంది. సో 10 అప్డేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత 3 థ్రెడ్స్ క్రియేట్ చేశాను కాబట్టి ఈ మూడింటికి మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్ ప్రయారిటీ ఎంత ఉంటే అంత దీనికి వచ్చేస్తుంది, ఇన్హెరిట్ అయిపోయింది. సో ఇక్కడ 5 ఉంటే 5 వచ్చేది, కానీ నేను 10 అప్డేట్ చేశాను కాబట్టి 10 వచ్చేసింది. రైట్. సో ట్రై టు కంపైల్ ఇట్ వన్స్ అగైన్, execute it. Here I think you are getting irregular only. So T1 is there in the starting. Right. So here the yield method is not working properly, but the concept is that one. సో yield method కాన్సెప్ట్ ఈస్
సార్
చెప్పమ్మా.
మనకి ప్రతి ఒక్క థ్రెడ్ కి ప్రయారిటీ చేంజ్ చేయాలని తెలియదు సార్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనం క్రియేట్ చేసినాం కదా సార్,
అవును.
దానికి ప్రయారిటీ ఇప్పుడు ఎట్లా చేయాలి సార్?
అదే చెప్తాను. సో యాక్చువల్గా ఆ టాపిక్ చెప్పి ఈ టాపిక్ చెప్పాల్సింది ఈల్డ్ మెథడ్. సో ప్రియారిటీ గురించి చెప్పాల్సింది, రైట్. సో విల్ డిస్కస్ దట్ వన్. సో ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్, సో వాట్ యూ నీడ్ టు రిమెంబర్, సో యాక్చువల్లీ వేర్ అండ్ వేర్, సో you don't get the expected outputs. So one case is yield method, yield yield method. So you don't get, the operating system may not support, depends on right. So some operating systems may not support. Yield method. So the same way, priority also, set priority, get priority is there. So priority, so based on the priority, the thread has to execute priority. So this one also based on the operating system. So if the operating system is not supporting thread priority, then you don't get the exact output, right? So the what I observed, Windows operating systems are not supporting these two, right? So in this case, so it is explaining a concept with a practical, it's not possible. So that's why I took these two at the end. Actually I need to explain in the starting only, but I took these two at the end. So if you are not getting the exact output, so what you feel, oh, it is not getting, but the operating system is not supporting these two, right? But the concept is, interview point of view, the concept is yield method, this one, right? So priority, we'll try to discuss the priority. So just now you saw, so whenever you created the main thread priority is 5. So the same priority will be inherited to remaining threads. So if you are updated in the middle, so that will be inherited to remaining threads, right? So what is the priority? So how to set the priority, thread priority? So thread priority, right? So thread priority means, so the range, it is having some range 1 to 10, right? So 1 means minimum priority, min underscore priority. There is a constant variable in the thread class, so that is a minimum priority. So second one is, there is a constant variable in the thread class, that is norm priority. So all are capital letters. Why? Because this is a constant value, final variable. So there is one more variable, so that is set with a 10, that is max priority. So these three constant variables are there as part of the thread class. So we'll try to see. So open the thread class. So go to constant section, variable section, right? Fields are there, okay? Field summary, max priority, mini priority, normal priority, all these are static. So you can call directly thread dot, right? So if you open this variable, so it will be set to 10, this one will be set to 1, this one will be set to 5. I'm clicking on maximum priority. Maximum priority, somewhere it will be set to 5. Sorry, maximum priority, that will be 10. Is there any 10? So it is not showing here, but the if you want to get it, we will get that. So what I will do, I will write the code and I will try to get this maximum priority, minimum priority, normal priority, right? See here, I will delete this code, not required now. So I'm trying to print system.out.println. So I want to print thread dot minimum priority. Then same way, system.out.println of normal priority, then maximum priority. Maximum priority. Stepama.
Priority range only 1 to 10. మధ్యలో మాత్రం ఉండాలి సార్.
సో 1 to 10 మార్కే రేంజ్. సో మధ్యలోనే ఉండాలి. సో 1 నుంచి 10 వరకు మ్యాక్సిమం. సో మనం సెట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఈ రేంజ్ 1 to 10 లోపలే సెట్ చేయాలి. చెప్తాను ఈ పాయింట్ అయిన తర్వాత. సో ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ క్రాసింగ్ ద లిమిట్ దెన్ యూ విల్ గెట్ కంపైల్ టైమ్ ఎర్రర్. సో ఇల్లీగల్ ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ ఎక్సెప్షన్. Right. So now, so all these things are not required to compile this code. So you can comment it. And comment it. So only this code is enough to get the priority numbers. So actually, if you open the API documentation, you are unable to see. So what is the values are set for these variables, right? Maximum priority, what is the range? So maximum priority that I can have in, right. Okay, here you are unable to see the value. So that's why I'm trying to get the value by using the program. So compile it. So all these are static variables. You can call it directly. So compile the code. Try to execute it. You are getting one for which one? Minimum priority. First one is minimum priority. So second one maximum priority 10. Third one normal priority. Right. So if you have doubt, so is this a same program output or not? So you can add some statement here. ASDF. Right. So you will get that ASDF statements also. Compile the code. Execute the code. See, we are getting the statements. Then we are getting this priority. Right. So this is the priorities of thread class constant variables. Right. I hope you are able to hear me. Yeah, someone please confirm. Amarendra?
Yes, sir.
Amarendra or Chandu? Right. So we'll try to finish this.
Sir.
Okay. So try to finish this priority. Then we will discuss tomorrow remaining things. Right. So this is the priorities. Now suppose if you have a thread class, I am enabling this code. So I have a thread class that is a T1 thread. So here what I will do, I will create two threads. Okay. Right. So I will give the names. Set name method. By using set name method, I am giving T1 as a name, and I will create second thread T2, just creating objects and setting the name T2. Right. So now what I will do, suppose in this case first thread priority will be 5, second thread priority will be 5. Why? Because these two threads are created by main thread. So main thread priority is 5. So that's why you will get 5 in this case and 5 in this case. Right. If you have doubt, you just verify it. Right. So just now we executed that. That's why I'm not writing the code once again. So main thread priority is 5. So the same priority will be passed to this T1 and T2. Right. So now what is the purpose of this priority? Why the range is from 1 to 10? 1 to 10 they set it. Okay, that's not a problem. So if it is having high priority, what will happen? It is having low priority, what will happen? If both are having same priority, what will happen? You already know it. So if I am calling T1.start and T2.start, so both threads will be executed simultaneously. You will get the output. Right. So you already know this. Compile the code, execute the code. Both threads are executing simultaneously. T1, T2, like this. Right. So now what I will do, I will try to set the priority. So T1 priority. How to set the priority? You have two methods in thread class. In thread class, you have two methods. So one is set priority and second one is get priority. So you can set the priority by using set priority method. Set priority. Yes, it is set. Stop. Set is here. Yeah. See here, set priority method is here. So for the set priority method, you can pass one integer number, and that integer number must be. So here the parameter type is integer type, but the integer number must be 1 to 10 only. If you are crossing the limit, what will happen? If you are crossing the limit, what will happen? We will see. Then one more method, get priority method. This is used to set the priority of a thread. So get priority method. So get priority method is here. So what this method will do, it won't take any parameter, it will return the current thread priority. Right? If you want to get the priority, you can use this method. Right? So it will return an integer number. Now we will try to set the priority. So T1 dot, which method I need to use? Set priority method. So I am passing 10 as the highest priority for this first thread. So second thread, for T2, I am setting the priority PRIO, set priority. I am setting lowest priority. So actually high priority. So whenever you started two threads one by one. So if you started one by one or some other time also, that will be based on the thread scheduler, you will get the output. But here the first thread priority is very high, high priority, and second thread priority is low, right? So in this case, what will happen? So when the thread scheduler is allocating the time, it will pick the priority of the threads and it will try to set the priority. So it will pick the priority of the threads based on the priority level. If it is high priority, it will give the more chance. If it is less priority, it will give the less chance. So that means highest priority thread has to execute complete first. It has to get the chance first. Then remaining thread, that means second thread has to get the chance lowest. Right? If the priority is supporting by the operating system, you will get the same output. Otherwise, you will not get the same output. Right. So in this case, I already set it 10 here. I set it 1 here. So in this case, the T1 thread has to execute first. Then T2 thread has to execute next. Right. Compiling the code. So try to execute it. So here T1 thread is executing first. Okay, up to 9 times. Then T2 thread is executing. Suppose if you reverse it, 0 one time, 0. So don't if the operating system is supporting, you will get the exact output. Now the second thread has to get the chance first. First thread has to get the chance next. So compile the code, execute the code. So T2 thread is executing first, T1 thread is executing next. I hope you are getting the point. So if it is having highest priority, the thread will get the chance highest. If it is having lowest priority, it will get the chance lowest. If both are having same priority, you cannot expect the exact output. Okay, which thread will give the chance, that will be based on the thread scheduler. So that means if I remove this priority here, 10 I remove here and 1 I remove here. So that means I am not using this line, and here also I am not using this line. In this case, what will happen? So both threads are having same priority, that is 5. So you will get irregular outputs. Compile, execute, you are getting 1 2 1 2. But earlier case, all are 2's then followed by 1's, all are 1's followed by 2's, right? So this is about thread priority, right? Highest priority thread will get chance first, right? So I'm trying to wind up the session.